Hi, I'm Isaac Big Data Carter, and we are doing something just a little bit different today. As you know, in the Catalyst Effect, we love to bring in experts in the field that really help us talk about what it takes to bring a concept or a technology idea all the way through into market or being used in the public. And we've been talking and realized that some of the other things, the mantras, the methods, are kind of not really getting focused on there. So what we wanted to do is just have more of a laid back, more of a casual conversation where we come in and just explain some of the stories and some of the methods and kind of the inside, like the behind the curtain of how we make things so successful at Contollo. You know, I've been interviewed by several different podcasts, and they always ask, hey, how do you pick a winner? And I say, well, it's easy to pick a winner if you really don't like losing and you find somebody that has the ability to adapt and adapt until they win, but also just drive for clarity. So we always really focus on the founder and their behaviors, and we wanted to talk about some of those behaviors a little bit more. And one of the favorite people that we have on our team that I love talking about these things with because she challenges me. She doesn't just say, yeah, Isaac, whatever you say, but she pushes back, especially when I'm going on my agile rants. Melissa, thank you for agreeing to do this with me again.
No, thank you for having me, Isaac. It's always a pleasure. I've always enjoyed being part of these kinds of conversations. And I don't know, I'm very curious to having these spaces to learn more about you, this mindset that you have, because I've been with Contalo for the past year. And ever since join, I see
Oh, it's
how you
already been a
push.
year. Time flies.
I know, and I was looking at the calendar yesterday when we announced the anniversaries for May. So I was like, oh my God, I'm almost here for a year. So I was like, you know
Made it.
what? Yeah, no, but I think that what I've been seeing through consistently is how much you care about projects being a win situation, how much you care about them not failing. So I think that this is the opportunity where I would like to know, Isaac, like what took you to be here to bring this kind of mindset into the company, like how you got here to this kind of success with the industry that is also prone to fail.
You know, it's funny. Most developers, which I was a data engineer and data architect for 24 years, and most of the time, people are really focused on the product. So they want to know what they're building and what they're bringing to market. And they get very bogged down in exactly what service levels of technology they're using, what tech stack, and a lot of times developers they want to switch. Oh, well, we want to use Angular now. Oh, no, no, now we want to use React. PHP is awful. We shouldn't be using that. And I keep looking at the user, the customer, the small business owner that's investing all of their money to try to bring something new to the market, the jet manufacturing company that's trying to increase safety, the security company that's trying to reduce theft occurrences for small businesses. Behind every product is a story, and behind those stories are people, real people that are trying to make the world a better place. And when we're out iteratively just working in, they say, under extreme amount of uncertainty, I'm saying confusion. They don't have the developers and product managers, a lot of times they don't have a plan. And a lot of times they don't have those plans because they just don't know how to do it. Like if you go to a software developer and you say, hey, build this exact thing this way, they're going to try to do it. But really, you know this, Melissa, a software developer's job is to complete tasks on the board, not necessarily to complete a solution for a person. So there's just a gap there. And that's one of the things I loved so much about these hackathons and code launch is the founder, they sit down with the dev team and we have an analyst there that's leading the team. And the founder explains their origin story. Why are we doing this? And they explain it to the team and they give them their pitch. And then the team understands for the next 2 days, we're working to achieve this goal. That's just so beautiful because the beauty that comes from the alignment. So I have a story. While I was at this contract, I went and I started Contollo Consulting. I was in April 2018, and I was working at a jet manufacturing company. And this company had a digital transformation department, the whole department for change management. I called them the always change everything department. And then they had an IT department who I called the never change anything department. And these guys, they would bump heads a lot. And the change management department built a spec. And the spec was designed to allow people to log into the computer faster. The change management guy was walking through the factory and he realized there was a line of people out there trying to log their work in a computer. And he thought, man, if they logged in and it was already there, they were already logged in, they just walked up and scanned their badge, then they could enter their work and walk away. And so they wrote the spec and they gave it to a developer, and the developer took it and read the first page of a 90-page spec and said, cool, I'll have it done by Friday. And they ordered a bunch of equipment, they ordered a bunch of stuff. And at the end of the day, they realized a year and a half later into what would have taken us 6 weeks to do. It wasn't a big project. But the developer was just like working, working, working. He was stressed. He was freaking out. He kept getting distracted by Windows Universal Foundation platform versus traditional Windows applications versus trying to write a mobile app. He was just, he didn't figure it out. He didn't know how he was building it. And he never read the entire spec. He's like, okay, I'm just going to iterate over this. I'm going to do one page at a time. I grabbed the spec and I sat down with him and we looked, and was convinced he needed 5 more days to get the work done. So we started saying, okay, let's write down every feature. Let's write down every functionality. We're going back to basics, going to sticky notes. Sticky notes, a whiteboard, swim lanes with a Kanban, like down and dirty. And we got 4 other developers in and we went through the spec and we put 96 sticky notes of unfinished things on the wall. And there was messaging that needed to be done. They didn't have a message server. They hadn't even looked into that. They hadn't developed an architecture. They just started coding. And when we looked, we realized a team of 6 people was going to take 45 more days to finish this when one guy kept saying he was going to have it done in 5 days. This is a major international corporation. They're literally owned by the largest tech firm in the world. This was inside of one of the subsidiaries of Dassault. So they had project managers, they had everybody, but the developers and the business and the tech department, everybody was just this huge disconnect. And
So
then
it sounds, so it
at the
sounds,
end, we delivered it. Let me just finish this real quick. At the end, we delivered, and it was hard work. And we delivered, and then the transformation department came to me and said, "Hey, help me come up with an ROI for this. How are we going to get our return off of this?" This is after a year. Well, 10 months earlier, the IT department had gone and installed 20 new workstations, and the problem that they had found was solved. Already, months and months ago, they lost the eye on the target. They stopped trying to build something to bring a benefit to the business and start trying to build a product because they fell in love with it. And in the end of the day, they wasted funds and people lost their jobs.
so it sounds like you guys really have built the specs sheet or a specs document, like we say it, but the development team was treating it like, oh my God, we don't know what to do. We're treating it with high level of uncertainty where it wasn't necessary. Like you had already removed the uncertainty. Like this team had removed the uncertainty by delivering this specs document, but they were just like going around it. There was no clear leadership, for so to say it. There was a lot of miscommunication. How do you feel it is compared from then to now? Do you believe that this still exists in the industry? Like in
It's
our industry?
it's gotten worse. What happens still is the same thing that happened then. If the business transformation department, if the stakeholder from the business had sat with the IT department and said, listen, these people can't enter their work in time. We have to find a way for them to log into their computers faster. The IT department would have said, awesome, I'm going to order 20 more workstations and install them. They're going to be here in 4 weeks. You're going to start seeing that problem eliminated. So if there had been that alignment between the observation and the solution, then this whole they wouldn't have even started this program. So that's one thing, and absolutely that's still happening. You have people walking into a corporation and they believe that they need to bring dramatic change or transformation, and that's part of their digital initiative, and it's part of they have all these initiatives. Absolutely, it's still happening. According to Standish, last year, 2024, their chaos report mirrored exactly the same project success rate as we saw in 1995. Only most of the reasons for failure are removed. We don't have technology illiteracy as a major contributor anymore. My 90-year-old grandmother uses her iPad and gets on Facebook every day. Like technical illiteracy has been eliminated. Hardware is cheaper than ever. We don't have to set up servers and everything because we can develop around infrastructure as code in the cloud. Most of the things that cause us to fail have been eliminated, but we're still failing at exactly the same rate. And so that's why I started writing the Catalyst method. What we have to do is we have to get technical people interfacing with the actual audience, the people feeling the pain. We can't have a product owner in the middle. Can't have the product owner needs to be there. It's an important role. A business analyst is very important. And Melissa, you know that our business analysis, we spend a lot of time getting that correct, and we get a functional specification. But then we bring our architects in. We're not bringing in coders. We're not bringing in junior people. We're bringing in people that have decades of experience, 10, 12, 20 years of experience and they are helping craft the technical spec. And that just is a game changer. But if you look at just the raw numbers, Forbes, Gartner, CPMG, Standish, we have not seen a change in the percentage of technology projects that are successful, which are meeting the goal of the people that are feeling a pain. When I was at another client, uh, we were having regular meetings, just update meetings with the head of risk, and the head of risk was saying, we have this pain. When is this pain going to be resolved? We've spent millions of dollars on this project, on this new product, but we're not getting it, and it's not solving our pain. And the manager of development, the development manager said, we just need 2 more sprints, and then we'll know exactly what we're building. And then as soon as we have that, then we'll be able to come back to you and tell you when you're going to get it. And he's like, we're a year overdue. You told us I was going to have this a year ago. We look at companies that are using project roadmaps, product roadmaps. And I've seen 3 different large enterprises, publicly traded companies using a product roadmap. And every quarter, the roadmap just slips back a quarter. They don't knock anything off the roadmap. And meanwhile, their customers are coming to the sales teams and the customer service and saying, we have a pain. We're trying to run our business with a product that we're paying you for. When is our pain going to be relieved? Melissa, you're an agile scrum master, right?
Yeah.
If I were to ask you, hey, we're on this project, it's a very large project. When is this piece of pain going to be relieved? What date and what's it going to cost? And how exactly are we going to solve it? Tell me 9 months from now, when am I going to get it done? Can you answer that?
As a Scrum Master specifically, no. But as a project manager, I could.
Exactly. Exactly. Because project management answers the 3 questions that matter to businesses. And I understand we've been out on LinkedIn and I've been sharing some of my frustrations with Agile. And one of the biggest things that I keep hearing is 3 arguments from these Agile coaches, the cultists, as I call them. They say 3 things. 1, waterfall and project management doesn't work because you have to make all of your decisions when you know the least amount. We remember David said the same thing. And when I said, David, wait a second, take a small deliverable, analyze it, create a solution, take clickable prototypes, go and do a hackathon and produce a prototype, take it back to the customer, have them confirm that that's going to solve their pain, and then build it. All of the uncertainty is removed, right? You're making sure you know before you do it. The next thing that they need to know is, what's this going to cost? Because money matters. And all these folks are out there, these agile cultists, they're out there, they're saying, budgets don't matter. We just need to do something. Timelines and commitments, they're all arbitrarily picked anyway, right? But Timelines are not arbitrary. Timelines mean something. We have a client right now that we're working a project for. He has to take his product to market in July, or he misses an entire year of revenue opportunities. So we had another client we built a project for recently. They had to get CMS certified by the end of February, or he missed an entire year of revenue opportunities. Dates mean something, right? They're important. And maybe not to developers because they're not watching the bottom lines, but to the business, dates, scope, what are we solving? How are we doing it? And time, money. These things mean something. But the agile, it's all about we're operating under extreme uncertainty. Let's go, 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 go. We're going to figure all that out as we go. And it doesn't let us answer the hard questions.
Yes, and I can add to that. I think that something that I've always loved about what we do in Contollo is that we're not married to a framework or a way of working. And ever since, I mean, since I've studied Scrum, since I become certified, we always get told the following. Make sure you understand what type of project you're getting into before getting a methodology or a framework in place. Like you mentioned before, Agile or Scrum is for those projects that are big, complex, and also this is something that we are taught is that these projects don't have a fixed budget or a fixed timeline. So why are you implementing that framework or that way of working into something that you know from the beginning it's might not going to win? And that's what I like about what you've installed. So I want the audience also to know, Isaac, like I know that throughout the years, you've been trying to bridge the gap that exists between the technical teams and the business outcomes. You're not just focused on how the team is doing in terms of software delivery, but how do you or how does your approach ensure that both sides stay aligned?
So what we do is a little unique in that we have 5 steps. So we start off with a qualification. So somebody brings an idea to the table, and we get a couple people that really understand that space. And we look at the idea and we say, you know what? I have something here. Or that's dumb. I'm sorry. I don't like anything about that. And I'm not going to waste a single second of my time on it. And for us, it's about 50-50. People bring in ideas all the time, and we can go, hey, look at that. You're going to write something that lets people brew coffee from a remote location from their refrigerator. Okay, I don't understand a market for that. Maybe there is one, maybe there's not, but I'm not getting involved. Or one that came in that was a bit of a stinker. They wanted to take all of the failed software products that were written over the years and lump them all into one product and sell them to people. The market has spoken. Nobody wants that. What are we doing? So we can just like finger in the air for, no, that doesn't feel right. We're not doing it. And from that, we then get into a discovery. The ones that we say, hey, you know what? You might have something there. Let's go out and let's come up with our problem statement. Our problem statement is who's the audience? What is their problem? What is their pain? What is the cause? What are the consequences for not solving the pain? And what is the urgency? Now we take those 6 things and we give those to a solutions analyst, somebody that can build a solution from that. And now what you've done is you're building specifically to a set of people and specifically to their pain. So when we started with really getting involved in startups, we realized 90% of startups fail. 90%, that's ridiculous. Startups, 80% of them still fail. They got money, but they still fail. About half the time, it was because of no product market fit. They didn't find an audience before they defined their problem, before they started making a solution. Somebody had an idea, and then they just built it to that person's idea, the founder, the visionary, instead of saying, I'm going to solve a problem for somebody. And so every single aspect of our steps, our 5 steps, are designed to eliminate risk and to bring us into alignment and understanding early. And obviously, during the qualifications, all we're looking for is consensus. Is this something worth investing in? Yes or no? In the discovery, what we're looking for is a problem statement, and that is high level of uncertainty. We don't even know if somebody wants this thing. We don't know anything about this. And we run that in an agile and iterative way. We have interviews, we have conversations with different people, and we start feeling like we're honing in on something. We take that back to the stakeholder. What do you think? Are we on the right track? Do we need to modify this? Yeah, this looks good. Awesome. Okay, well, here's our problem statement. What does everybody think about this? We need to change this. We need to change that. All right, the first thing that we're trying to do is remove the uncertainty of who are we building for? What is their problem? What is their pain? What's causing that pain? What's the consequence of not solving that pain? And what is the urgency to solve it? So for example, if we have a one-time thing and we have to solve it in 3 months and we know we can't solve it by building something, we're going to come up with a different way to solve it. From there, we get into the analysis. And this is again, we don't know what we're building. We don't know how we're building it. We don't know what tech stack. We don't know if it's a mobile app. We don't know if it's a web app. We don't know if we can solve this with an Excel spreadsheet. We don't know much about this yet. So very agile, very iterative. This is what we think is going to work. These are the features we think we need. These are the flow that we think is there. Building software and then taking it back to a user and saying, hey, is this the right business logic? No, it's not. Okay, let me build the software again. That is an enormous waste of resources. When I can use a BPMN, business process markup notation tool, like Lucidchart or Visio, and I can sit down and design the process flow, show it to the customer, is this right, and change it with no code changed. Then we do the designs, we'll use Figma or something similar to make a clickable prototype. And then Melissa, we've seen this before. Somebody wants to use an application to send a text message from an iPhone. I don't know how to do that. And I don't believe any team member that tells me, yeah, no problem, that's easy. No, prove it. Let's grab the hackathon team. We're really good at doing hackathons. We deliver prototypes like that, 2 days, bam, usable prototype. Prove it to me. I want to know that it's going to work exactly how we're going to do it. Every single time somebody has said, yeah, no problem, we know how to do it. And then we go into a hackathon, guess what? They didn't know exactly how to do it. So we make them prove it. They build the prototype. We test the prototype. We send it to test flight. Hey, Apple, are you going to accept this? And then as soon as we have a buildable unit of work, the uncertainty is removed and we now have clarity. We understand that this is going to mean something. What do? I hand it to the project managers and I say, we're going to build this. And if we find something we need to change on it later, that's a different scope of work. But team, execute this. And then it becomes very important to know exactly what am I building? What is it going to cost? And when am I going to have it? Because I'm making other commitments based off that delivery date. And once we have that scope of work, we are awesome. We're no longer iterating. We are outside of the agile workflow and we are into a true project management workflow.
True, that's true. And one thing that I've always loved about the way we work or the way we do things is for example, we're not pushing aside all these frameworks, all these mindsets. Like we're still embedding into our work. But I think at the core of what you're doing is actually making sure that you're not only meeting a product a specification or a product need, but you're also meeting the client needs and the customer out there needs. So you're bringing in these three things that are core to every business success. Like I would like to know, Isaac, for example, when do you think a project is more prone to fail in these three pillars? What would be the worst case scenario between these three aspects for a project to fail?
So there's a difference between a product, a project, an application, and a business, right? So we've built products that are beautiful products, awesome applications or solutions. And the business itself had no mechanism to deliver those things. They didn't have a chain of value to find. They didn't have a sales network to find. And so the application itself is up and it's working, but the business is unestablished. And that is a massive risk, right? And that's what we try to manage everything off of is identify the risk as early as possible and eliminate it as early as possible. So for me, the most risk is at the concept phase and then at the design phase. So the more uncertainty you have, the higher the risk, the more likely you are to fail. And I know they say 90% of startups fail. It's actually a lot more than that because a lot of startups fail. Really good solutions, people have amazing ideas, and they really would change the world if they brought it to market, but they don't know how. And they think about it for years and years. I've got the next $1 million idea, and they don't know what to do with it. They don't have any idea how to get it started. All of this of innovation that could make the world a better place is just sitting in somebody's brain somewhere. I know somebody in Nicaragua that it has built a couple of small scale farms for schools where somebody with no training whatsoever can generate and grow fresh, nutritious produce for kids who eat rice and beans. That's all they have access to. Amazing and necessary idea. Amazing product. We know it works. It's been tested. It's not out there because they don't know how to bring it to market and they don't know how to build a business around it. It's not even a startup. It's an established like prototype phase. And so many examples of those things where it would change the world if somebody had a methodology and they knew how to take their concept to market. So definitely the idea stage is a big one. The next one is obviously if you're spending money, you have a limited run rate left. I've seen examples from other people posting on LinkedIn. Oh, this company, they had $1,000 burn rate with 6-month run rate. They're going out of business in 6 months if they don't get some revenue coming in. And the way that they saved the company was abandoning the product and starting from scratch because they had been iterating over a concept instead of getting an ironclad plan and executing it.
And I think that you said something very key about it, like how can I go from establishing something that works for what I'm doing? Like how do I eliminate the uncertainty? How do I eliminate the key points? How do I know what I'm selling? How do I know my business plan? And how do I set that, like you said, the ironclad contract that this is the plan I'm going to follow? And something that we've always talked, I am a Scrum Master, of course. You know, I love Agile. To me, Agile has some really core principles I believe in. But I also know to do a differentiation between what a project control framework is and what a product delivery tool is as well. So to make it clear, we've always talked about you know that people is taking you as an anti-agile person, but I've seen it firsthand that that's not the case. Can you explain a little bit more what this is about with you? What's your sentiment regarding agile in the industry?
So Lean Startup says that a startup is anybody that's operating in an extreme amount of uncertainty. Agile is iterating over a solution until you deliver something, iterating over a scope of work, over a backlog. And the concept is that any idea goes in the backlog. Just put it in the backlog, put it in the backlog, which is great. I love that. The problem is it's very, very difficult, and I've had this happen firsthand with PS. It's very difficult to have a difference between these are the items that my audience needs. This presents a solution. And I've never seen anybody successfully back into a market fit. I've never ever seen it happen. The only thing that I've seen happen is clearly and strategically identifying an audience. We saw a group of high school kids at Code Launch. These kids had been talking at a company picnic from one of their dad's companies, and they realized, hey, the logistics managers, the purchasing managers are having a really hard time getting quotes because it's all in email. Well, hey, let's go talk to 50 more of them. And they called a bunch of purchasing managers, and they realized, hey, these folks, they're all doing it through email. They don't have a way to collaborate to pull it all together. So then they put it together and got the biggest pain point for that audience, for those purchasing managers. These are high school kids. They put together their persona and they put together an audience. And then they said, huh, we could make this a little bit better if we built something that automatically sent the email, read it, and put it into a spreadsheet for them. And so we're not talking about anything overly complicated, but high school kids, 3 high school kids went to a $150,000 exit after 7 months with basically nothing invested because they identified the audience, they identified their pain, and they created a solution to solve it. A simple solution, one that we could build in a weekend. And that's really what's missing is want us to be focused not on a product, not on our code. Listen, I was a software engineer. I hate throwing away code, and I'm going to do everything I can to avoid doing that. So if I'm iterating over something and I realize I just wrote 30,000 lines of code that aren't going to be used for something, I want to find out how to use that or keep it or hold on to it or modify it for something else. Elon Musk says all the time, a good engineer will attempt to improve something that never should have existed to begin with. You got to throw that away, eliminate it, and start over. That is a very tricky thing for an engineer to do. We worked hard on something, we're proud of it. So what I want to do is eliminate the uncertainty as soon as possible before we start coding, get into prototype land, get into Figma, get into doing proof of concepts and throw away scrap code, do as little coding as possible. Don't start working on a product until you know what's going to solve a real need. And the whole MVP, the people that successfully deliver an MVP are the people that scope that MVP out purposefully and strategically from the beginning, not the people that say, let's just get to work and see what we end up with.
That's correct. And this is where you and I cross roads, like where we meet halfway. I'm a firm believer that Agile needs project management functions. People just take it to the literal and say, hey, so let's just welcome changes here and there. Let's just keep on doing it this way. It doesn't matter. But no, I've always believed that projects that are successful are not entirely because of a specific framework, but because of the people that are at the heart of it. If they are capable of leading their team with the best sense of what they're going to be needing to do for, that's the key core of it. Because you can have all these toll gates in place, you can have all these control checkpoints, you can have so many things in place to try to avoid your product and your project to fail. But if you don't have the correct people, it's not going to work. How do you see this being part of Contollo? Because I know that it's not just me you've hired, but across time since you started Contollo, I know that you've been focusing on hiring the correct people. Like, what do you see in this people that joining the company? Like, what do you look for them?
It's funny, the people that come in and say, okay, I need this amount of money and I need this amount of conditions for myself and really focus on negotiating their package, they're the folks that usually deliver the least because they're fixated on getting the most for themselves. They also tend to be the folks that learn the least on the job because they're already very focused on what they're doing. The people that come in and ask, what can you teach me? What can I learn? What am I going to be a part of if I join? Those are the people that go the farthest. So like when we were looking for you for our project manager, we were looking for somebody that had the expertise and the knowledge, but also had the drive to continue to learn and evolve and improve. And I believe that we need to be making the world a better place for future generations as we work. And a lot of how we get our staff, a lot of the times before somebody comes to work for us, we've known them for years. We've known them through the after school programs and that we work with and that we sponsor. And then we've helped them go to university and get their degree. And they've worked in our hackathon teams and done internships. And the people that continue coming are the ones that just have that thirst for knowledge. Vanny and I sat down and looked at how much we've spent on education in the past 3 years. And it's a large amount of money. It's a significant investment. The people that have learned the most, gotten the most training, the most degrees, their master's degrees, their certifications. You can look around the leaders in the company, and even if they came in as an intern, like Ariel Menard just got his master's degree in business intelligence, consistently delivers high quality, on time, awesome innovation to our clients. And he's been on 4 clients now. The last client he's been on there for 3 years, so I haven't had him in our inner circle for a while. But these guys, he came in as an intern and he's gotten numerous certifications. He's finished his degree. He's gotten his master's degree. These are the folks that want to continue to learn and grow and deliver value. We take care of them. These folks all have consistent, consistent pay increases. We stay way above market. Um, it's because they're reaching goals and increasing their value, not because they're advocating for themselves. And that's really what we're looking for is maybe the folks come to us with a high school diploma, or maybe they haven't even finished high school diploma. Because that's the situation that they were in. Well, now that they're working with us, they're in a new situation. And if over the next 10, 18 months, we see them start to grow and get certifications and continue to with their degree and increasing their capabilities. If you look at JC came to us as basically an intern. Now he's a DevOps engineer and a darn good one. Freddie came to us as a senior engineer, and now he's a senior DevOps engineer with multiple certifications. I want people that have the drive to improve themselves and continuously deliver more and more value to the world and to our clients.
And it's a very positive outlook or a lookout for so to say it because I've seen it firsthand when we got interns joining the development team. It does demonstrate that you're not only focused on building a product and getting the best technical people at it, but you're also looking for people that has the right attitude and that wants to learn. And something that I really particularly like about the interns we currently have is how much they want to learn. Like you know that with our project, we had the WordPress developer. He was more focused on WordPress development, but he was like, "No, you know what? I want to join this. Want to join this project. I want to make sure I put into what I've learned and the knowledge I have acquired on mobile development." David, the
Yeah.
interns as well, they just want to learn more and want to put it into practice, and I think it demonstrates. It really Contollo not only picks the right people but also supports these folks. You're also supporting them internally.
I love that, like David, he came to us as a WordPress developer, and we were able to show him, maybe not with the level of clarity that we do today, but we were able to show him this is what we need to do, and this is why we're doing it, and here's the audience, here's the users and different user classes and characteristics, and this is what we're trying to achieve. And he came in like he had something to prove. And he came in and he's like, I am going to deliver this value. I'm going to deliver it on time, and I'm going to maybe over deliver a little bit. And that's exactly what he did. And then we said, okay, we finished with this project. I don't have another WordPress project for you today, David. And he's like, I will do anything. Like, I've been learning React. I've been learning TypeScript. I've been learning these different skills. I want to be whatever I can be so I can continue delivering value. Give me a chance. Give me a chance and I'll prove that. And we said, well, I mean, yeah, he doesn't have a lot of experience with mobile applications or with React, but you can't beat that drive. And it was a strategic drive. It wasn't, I guess I'll try. It was, I know this is coming. I went back and I took classes on this. I built a dummy application, a sample application to prove I can do it. Give me a shot. I deserve it. And he's nailing it. I mean, he's ahead. The folks with 2 years of experience or 3 years of experience on the back end, which is a little bit easier to do, are trying to keep up with this dude.
Yeah,
And absolutely, we didn't just say, okay, go try it out, buddy. We'll see how it goes. We paired him up with a senior. We gave him a lot of support. We have other folks that have experience there. We're not going to jeopardize the project because of this. We want everybody to have opportunities, but you know this, Melissa, I won't compromise on quality and value.
that's true. No, and this senior has had so much positive feedback for what he's doing. These people are making the right questions. So you get that balance. You make sure that you get people right for this product. You get the right fit, but you also are supporting because you don't want to lose or risk quality. And that's a great balance because when you focus only on having senior people on a product development, sometimes that can go sideways. If you don't have or you don't maintain a healthy level of tenure in your team, that can go sideways. And I think that that's where you also do differently when we go into an execution phase. You're not just looking to get this over with. You're not just looking to, oh, I just need to get over with this project in 10 weeks. No, you want to make sure that you're keeping in mind timelines, but you're keeping in mind the kind of people that the right people is into this project and that you also deliver something beautiful, something of high quality. I think that that's what ultimately differentiates what Contollo is doing out there.
Yeah, I read a book by Patrick Bet David called Your Next Five Moves. And in Your Next Five Moves, he says if a leader puts somebody in a position that they're not capable of succeeding in and they fail, how could it be anybody's fault except for the leader? So if we put David, who's got drive and energy and just this huge will to succeed, into this position and didn't give him the support of a very knowledgeable and experienced person, and he failed, which he would. I mean, you, you can't succeed if you don't have the experience to do it. Knowing what not to do is more important than knowing what to do, right? He would have failed, and it would have been my fault. And that's what I think that a lot of leaders are missing, especially in the tech space. Business leaders put people in place with processes and a certain level of understanding where it wouldn't be reasonable to expect them to succeed. And then they blame them when they fail. Somebody commented on one of my LinkedIn posts that he had seen a very successful agile implementation and went down this whole list of how it worked. And the number one thing for him was to get the business leaders to let go of how the engineers were operating and present them with their goals first. So the biggest change that he implemented wasn't a agile methodology, it was a leadership alignment. And once you have aligned leadership, you can use agile, you can use waterfall, you can use sticky notes on a whiteboard, you can use powerful technology, it won't matter anymore because that alignment is the difference. The most expensive project management software with the most robust agile coaching in the world won't overcome a lack of alignment and poor leadership.
Finally, Isaac, I know that we're almost up to the hour, but for the leaders out there, for those that are thinking on going live with their startups, but that they're also struggling with uncertainty, what's one piece of advice you'd give them to start turning the tide?
It's funny when I'm in a meeting where people have a problem, but they can't come up with a solution. They can't get alignment in the room. I learned that a lot of times people don't know what they want, but they know what they don't want. So you can throw a bad idea out, sometimes a crazy one, and everybody aligns around, no, this other thing would be better than that. Really, let's talk about that for a second. That other thing that's
Yeah.
better than the stupid idea I just threw out. Let's talk about that for a second. And everybody's like, yeah, it's better because of this and this. My gosh, we just got one little piece of light, one little thing, and now I can build off of that one little piece of clarity. So what I recommend is people think that you have to build software to demonstrate an idea, and you don't. What you have to do is have a prototype. Get into Figma, get into a no-code solution, and demonstrate that you have an idea of how to solve a problem. And then go and show that to your audience. Show that to who you think your market's going to be. Show that to some other people, like some strange folks that might not even fit your market, and see if you can start seeing them grab onto it. Then you have a little bit more clarity, and that little piece of clarity can lead to more clarity and more clarity. Don't invest in actual delivery. Don't start executing. Don't start developing until you have clarity. As soon as you have a piece of clarity and everybody agrees, hey, that little thing right there will bring us some value and solve some of my pain, you send that over to execution. You make sure you've got your scope defined. You make sure that you have a realistic timeline and a budget. I've seen so many times where major corporations sit down and say, okay, awesome. What's our budget? $3 million. Cool. What's the delivery date? Well, $3 million divided by our burn rate is July 15th. Awesome. Cool. We know our budget. We know when we're going to be done. What are we doing? Like, dude, no, because you never even asked about the audience. Like, who are you solving the problem for? What problems are you solving? You have no scope. You have nothing. You just put a line in the sand, chisel it in stone. Start with the person who is experiencing a pain, and then bring clarity as quickly as possible to how you're going to solve that pain. And then you can go back to your team and say, this is the solution that's going to solve this problem for this person. And I do this with you all the time, Melissa. Here's the scope. What is going to be my budget and timeline for this? And then I call this phase the proposal phase because you come back and say it's going to take 6 months and it costs $100,000. And I go back to the customer and they say, well, I need some things faster, but some things can be slower. And we say, okay, perfect. Let's talk about those things. If you have these 3 of your 12 things, does that solve a problem? No, I need this one other thing. And now these 4 of 12 things solve the problem. Amazing. Great. Melissa, can you give that to me? I can give that to you in 4 to 6 weeks. Beautiful. Client, you're going to have it in 8 weeks. We're going to test it. We're going to design it. It's going to be perfect. 8 weeks is way better than 6 months. Give it to me. And now you have, yes, you've iterated through. Yes, you've used agile type of concepts to get to that agility. But now you pass that scope of work off to the team and say, team, you agreed that you could deliver this in 6 weeks. I need you to deliver this in 6 weeks, as you said. And now you have a commitment. You have a commitment from the audience that you're giving them something valuable that's going to solve their pain. You have a commitment from the business that they're going to pay for it. And in return, they're going to receive value. You have commitment from the team that they are able, capable of, and going to deliver that scope of work. And now commitments are honored. And since those commitments are honored and they're small, achievable units of work, you have achieved an agility that you would never have achieved by purely operating blind in uncertainty.
That's right. And that's excellent advice for anyone out there trying to think and see if their idea is that $1 million idea. So, with that, Isaac, I
There's no
really,
such
really
thing as the million
appreciate.
dollar idea, by the way.
I know. No, but I appreciate you taking the time to have a conversation with me to get more into depth with your ways of working. How do you envision software development also going? I think this should really light up people's mind in where are we headed? What should we accept? What shouldn't we accept? And I think that it's of great value. All knowledge is of high value. So I appreciate that, Agsac, for your time.
Awesome. Am I a guest on the Melissa Iraheta show? I think I'm a little confused.
No, no,
Thanks so much for being here today, Melissa.
no. Thank you.
All right. Fernando, did we do it?